Across the galaxy, there exists a universal truth that every advanced civilization learns. Distance equals safety. The further you can eliminate a threat, the longer you survive. For 3,000 years, the Zephyrian Marksmanship Guild has dominated this principle. They're elite sharpshooters capable of precise kills from distances that would make lesser species weep in terror. But what happens when the hunters become the hunted? When a species that learned warfare in muddy trenches and frozen forests decides that a kilometer shot is just the beginning? The Galactic Council thought they were deploying their most lethal precision specialists against a primitive world still using chemical projectiles. They had no idea they were about to discover why humans don't just hunt for survival. They hunt for sport, for challenge, and sometimes just to prove they can hit a target that everyone else says is impossible. This is the story of the day the galaxy's deadliest marksmen learned that on Earth, even the amateurs practice at ranges that would humble their champions. The command ship's Sovereign's Edge drifted silently through the void, its angular hull reflecting the distant light of Earth's sun. Within its sterile corridors, the most feared marksmen in the galaxy prepared for what their commanders assured them would be a simple extermination mission. Kethvar adjusted the targeting scope on his plasma rifle, the weapon's crystalline core humming with barely contained energy. As the lead sharpshooter of the Zephyrian Guild, he had eliminated targets across 17 different worlds, each shot a masterpiece of precision that had earned him legendary status among his people. His elongated fingers, evolved specifically for the delicate trigger control required for extreme-range shooting, moved across his weapon with practiced grace. Distance to target zone? He asked without looking up from his equipment. 43,000 kilometers and closing, replied Vextar, his spotter and longtime partner. The smaller Zephyrian's 4 eyes allowed him to process targeting data faster than any computer system the Guild had ever developed. Orbital positioning will be optimal in 6 standard time units. Kethvar nodded, his pale blue skin shifting to a slightly darker shade as his concentration deepened. This biological response had evolved over millennia of hunting on their homeworld, where stillness and focus could mean the difference between survival and becoming prey to the massive crystal wolves that stalked the frozen wastes. Around them, 37 other elite marksmen performed their own pre-mission rituals. The Zephyrians had been hired by the Galactic Council specifically because of their reputation. When a precision elimination was required, when collateral damage had to be minimized, when the target absolutely had to die from an impossible distance, the Council called the Guild. "Tell me again about these humans," Kethvar said as he aligned his rifle's quantum stabilizers. "The intelligence reports seem almost fantastical." Vextar consulted his datapad, his dual voice boxes creating the harmonic speech pattern unique to his species. Bipedal mammals from the 3rd planet. They've achieved basic spaceflight, but remain confined to their system. Their weapons technology is primitive. They still use kinetic projectiles powered by chemical explosions. No energy weapons, no gravitational manipulation, no quantum targeting. The Council estimates their effective engagement range at perhaps 200 meters for their best warriors. 200 meters? Kethvar's laughter was a sound like crystalline chimes in a gentle breeze. My personal record is 837 kilometers against a moving target in a meteor storm. The mission parameters are quite generous, Vextar continued. We'll establish firing positions on their moon. They call it Luna. From there, we'll have clear sight lines to their population centers while remaining far beyond the range of any retaliation. The Council wants their military leadership eliminated first, then their scientific community, then their political structures. Clean, precise, no damage to infrastructure. Kethvar finally looked up from his weapon, his large black eyes reflecting the ship's interior lighting. How many shots do they estimate we'll need? Total? Perhaps 50. Their military leadership numbers less than a dozen individuals, scattered across several continents. Even accounting for the planetary rotation, we should complete the mission within 2 local days. The lead sniper felt a familiar sense of disappointment settling over him. It had been too long since he'd faced a real challenge. The last mission, eliminating the rebel leaders on Proxima Centauri B, had required only 3 shots across an entire week. Before that, the assassination of the Regellian Trade Consortium's board had been accomplished with a single shot each, their targets obligingly gathering for a conference that made the job almost insultingly simple. Perhaps the humans will at least provide some interesting environmental challenges, he mused. Different gravity, atmospheric composition, magnetic field variations. Unlikely, Vextar replied, consulting his tactical analysis. Standard oxygen-nitrogen atmosphere, gravity only slightly lighter than Zephyr Prime, minimal electromagnetic interference. Their technology is so primitive they don't even have orbital defense platforms. We'll be shooting fish in a barrel, as their own expression apparently goes. The ship's commander, Admiral Thectis, entered the preparation bay with the measured stride of someone who had overseen hundreds of similar operations. His uniform, adorned with the geometric patterns that indicated his rank in the Council's military hierarchy, marked him as one of the most successful tactical commanders in the galaxy. Final briefing in 10-time units, he announced, his voice carrying easily across the chamber. I want every marksman prepared for immediate deployment upon orbital insertion. This mission has the highest priority classification. Earth's admission to the Galactic Council has been problematic. Their representatives have proven resistant to proper guidance. Kethvar understood the subtext. Earth had resources the Council wanted, but its people had shown an inconvenient tendency to refuse subjugation. Rather than commit to a full invasion that might damage valuable infrastructure, the Council had decided that removing Earth's leadership would leave the population leaderless and compliant. It was a strategy that had worked on dozens of other worlds. Without their military commanders, scientists, and political leaders, civilizations typically collapsed into chaos, making them easy to assist and guide toward Council membership. The surviving populations usually welcomed their new galactic neighbors, grateful for the stability and protection the Council provided. Remember, Admiral Thectis continued, precision is paramount. These humans have shown unexpected resilience in previous negotiations. We cannot afford to create martyrs or provide them with evidence of external interference. Every shot must appear to be the result of internal conflict or random tragedy. Kethvar began loading his rifle with specialized ammunition designed to leave no trace of alien technology. The plasma bolts would dissipate completely after impact, leaving wounds that would appear to have been caused by conventional weapons. It was technology that had taken the Guild decades to perfect, and it had never failed to provide complete deniability. Intelligence suggests the humans have various factions already in conflict with one another, the Admiral went on. Our eliminations will be attributed to these internal divisions. By the time they realize what has happened, their leadership structure will be completely dismantled. A junior officer approached Admiral Thectis and whispered something in the harmonic language of the Admiral species. Kethvar caught only fragments, but it seemed to be routine orbital positioning data. Excellent, the Admiral said. Begin final approach. All marksmen to your positions. As the Zephyrians moved toward the deployment bay, Kethvar felt a slight vibration through the ship's hull as the massive vessel adjusted its trajectory. Through the transparent aluminum viewports, Earth grew larger, its blue and white surface marbled with cloud formations that would complicate atmospheric shooting, but nothing beyond his considerable skill. Target acquisition will begin with their primary military installation. Vextar informed him as they secured their equipment for transport. A location called the Pentagon. 5 confirmed high-value targets within a single structure. Convenient, Kethvar replied, though something nagged at the back of his mind. In his experience, missions that seemed too easy often contained hidden complications. What about their detection capabilities? Surely they have some form of surveillance technology. Primitive optical telescopes and basic radar systems. Nothing that could detect our positions on Luna, and certainly nothing that could track our shots. Their fastest communications systems require several minutes to reach their moon. We'll complete the entire mission and be in hyperspace before they even know they're under attack. The deployment shuttles were sleek, angular craft designed for stealth and precision insertion. Each could carry 6 marksmen and their equipment to the surface of Luna, where they would establish concealed firing positions among the moon's crater-riddled landscape. As Kethvar secured himself in the shuttle, he reviewed the target profiles one final time. General Patricia Hayes, chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, would be his first target. According to intelligence, She would be conducting a routine inspection of the Pentagon's new defensive installations at precisely 1,347 hours local time, putting her in a predictable location with minimal security interference. The shuttle's engines engaged with a barely perceptible hum, and they began their descent toward Luna's surface. Through the craft's sensor feed, Kethvar could see Earth rotating slowly below them, unaware that its fate was being decided by marksmen positioned nearly 400,000 kilometers away. Atmospheric conditions on target world, he asked the shuttle's pilot. Optimal, came a reply. Clear skies across all target zones. Minimal wind at ground level. No significant weather disturbances predicted for the next 72 hours. Kethvar allowed himself a small smile. Perhaps this mission would be completed even more quickly than estimated. He began calculating firing solutions, accounting for Luna's lower gravity, the vacuum environment that would eliminate atmospheric distortion, and the predictable orbital mechanics that would keep his targets within range. The shuttle touched down in a crater designated as Position Alpha, its landing so gentle that Kethvar barely felt the impact. Through the viewports, he could see the stark landscape of Luna's surface, its gray regolith scarred by billions of years of meteorite impacts. The Earth hung in the black sky above them like a blue jewel, beautiful and utterly vulnerable. As he prepared to disembark, Kethvar reflected on the elegant simplicity of their plan. The humans, with their primitive technology and limited understanding of orbital mechanics, would never suspect that their leaders were being eliminated from their own moon. By the time they realized what was happening, it would be far too late. He had no way of knowing that 384,000 kilometers below, in a facility buried deep beneath the Colorado mountains, a human technician had just noticed an unusual gravitational anomaly detected by Earth's early warning systems. The anomaly suggested multiple craft of significant mass had just landed on Luna's surface. The technician's name was Sarah Chun, and she had spent 6 years studying every known object in Earth's immediate vicinity. She knew, with absolute certainty, that nothing was scheduled to land on Luna for another 8 months. Her finger hovered over the alert button that would notify NORAD, the Pentagon, and every major military installation on Earth that something had just established a position on humanity's doorstep. But Kethvar, adjusting his rifle's scope to compensate for the alien landscape, remained focused on his mission. In 6 hours, General Hayes would step onto a balcony to inspect the Pentagon's new defenses, and he would end her life with a shot that would be remembered as the most precise elimination in Guild history. He had no idea that General Hayes had spent her morning reviewing reports about unusual electromagnetic signatures detected near Luna, or that she had already moved the Pentagon's command staff to a secure underground facility as a precautionary measure. The galaxy's deadliest marksmen had arrived to hunt humanity's leaders, supremely confident in their abilities and their intelligence. They were about to discover that humans had been preparing for this moment for longer than anyone realized, and that Earth's military leadership had not survived this long by being predictable or easy to find. The hunt was about to begin, but the question of who was predator and who was prey remained unanswered. Sarah Chin's finger pressed the alert button at exactly 0347 hours Mountain Standard Time, sending encrypted warnings cascading through military networks across the globe. Within minutes, phones were ringing in secure bunkers from Colorado to Moscow to Beijing, and the world's most powerful telescopes were swiveling toward Luna's surface. At Peterson Space Force Base, General Patricia Hayes was already awake, having spent the night reviewing anomalous readings from the Deep Space Surveillance System. When her secure phone buzzed with Sarah's alert, she wasn't surprised. She'd been expecting something like this for months. "Talk to me." "Chun," she said, her voice calm despite the implications of the call. "Ma'am, we've got multiple contacts on Luna's surface. Mass displacement suggests at least 6 craft, possibly more. They appeared simultaneously in coordinated positions around the moon's equatorial region. This wasn't random debris or natural phenomena." Hayes walked to the reinforced window of her underground command center, looking up at the pre-dawn sky where Luna was still visible as a pale crescent. "How certain are you about the coordination?" 100%, ma'am. The landing sites form a perfect hexagonal pattern when viewed from Earth's perspective. Whatever this is, it's deliberate, and it's watching us." The general nodded grimly. 18 months ago, The Arecibo 3 telescope had detected structured signals from the outer system, signals that suggested intelligence, but remained undeciphered. 6 months after that, deep space monitors had recorded multiple objects decelerating from near-light speed as they entered the solar system. The objects had disappeared behind the sun and never emerged, leading some to theorize they had been destroyed by solar radiation. Hayes had never believed that theory. Things traveling at near-light speed didn't simply vanish unless they wanted to. Earth had been under observation, and now that observation had become something more active. Initiate Protocol 7, she commanded. Full spectrum analysis of Luna's surface, maximum resolution. I want to know what we're dealing with. 400,000 kilometers away, Kethvar was making final adjustments to his firing position. The crater rim provided excellent concealment while offering clear sight lines to Earth's surface. His rifle's quantum targeting system had acquired a lock on the Pentagon's coordinates, and the orbital mechanics calculations showed optimal firing windows every 97 minutes as Earth rotated. Atmospheric interference minimal, Vextar reported, his multiple eyes tracking data streams from their advanced sensors. Target acquisition confirmed. First target should arrive on schedule. But when Kethvar peered through his scope toward the Pentagon, something was wrong. The building appeared normal, but the heat signatures were all wrong. According to his sensors, the massive five-sided structure was nearly empty, showing only minimal thermal activity consistent with automated systems and perhaps a skeleton security crew. Confirm target location, he ordered. Vextar's scanning equipment painted the building with invisible beams of exotic radiation, analyzing everything from structural integrity to the number of heartbeats within. Sir, I'm reading only 12 life signs in the entire complex. Our intelligence indicated this facility housed over 23,000 personnel. Kethvar felt the first stirring of unease. In all his years as a marksman, he had never encountered a target that had simply vanished. Military commanders were creatures of habit, following routines that made them predictable. Yet somehow, humanity's primary military leadership had disappeared between the time their mission was planned and its execution. Check the backup targets, he instructed. Across Luna's surface, his fellow marksmen were reporting similar anomalies. The Pentagon was nearly empty. NORAD's Cheyenne Mountain facility showed only automated systems. The main Naval Command Center in Norfolk was operating with minimal staff. Target after target was proving to be either evacuated or never present in the first place. Sir, Vextar's voice carried a note of confusion that Kethvar had never heard before. I'm detecting something unusual. Multiple thermal signatures at coordinates that don't match any structures in our intelligence database. Explain. There appear to be significant underground facilities beneath several target locations. Deep excavations with active life support systems and substantial personnel complements. Our intelligence maps show nothing in these areas. Kitvars unias deepenid. Successful sniping required perfect intelligence. And if their information about human infrastructure was wrong, what else might be incorrect? He activated his communication system, connecting to the other firing positions around Luna's perimeter. All units report status, he commanded. The responses came back quickly, and they painted a disturbing picture. Every primary target was either absent or relocated. Every major military facility was operating with reduced personnel. Most unsettling of all, several marksmen reported detecting what appeared to be hardened observation posts that hadn't existed in any of their intelligence briefings. Phoenix leader, this is actual. Admiral Thectios's voice crackled across the quantum communication link from the command ship. Report your status. Actual, we have a problem, Kethvar replied. Primary targets are not present at designated coordinates. Recommend mission postponement pending intelligence update. There was a long pause before the Admiral responded. Negative, Phoenix leader. Mission parameters remain unchanged. Locate and eliminate designated targets. Intelligence indicates humans lack the technology to detect your positions. Kethvar wanted to argue, but discipline held his tongue. The Guild had never failed a mission, and he would not be the first to suggest retreat based on incomplete information. Perhaps the human leaders were simply attending meetings in different locations. Perhaps their underground facilities were routine bunkers unrelated to their mission. Rohir Actual. Initiating expanded search patterns. As he recalibrated his equipment to scan a wider area, Kethvar noticed something that made his blood run cold. A reflection, brief but unmistakable, had caught his scope's attention. On Earth's surface, approximately 800 kilometers from the Pentagon, something metallic was glinting in the sunlight. He adjusted his magnification and felt his confidence evaporate completely. The reflection was coming from what appeared to be a massive telescope or targeting system, pointed directly at his position on Luna. Even as he watched, the device was making minute adjustments, tracking something in his vicinity. "Vextar," he said quietly, "run a full-spectrum scan on our position. Check for any form of electromagnetic emission that might compromise our concealment." His spotter's equipment hummed to life, analyzing every possible way their position might be detected. The results made no sense according to everything they knew about human technology. "Sir, I'm detecting multiple scanning beams focused on our crater. High-resolution optical analysis, gravitational measurement, electromagnetic mapping, and something else I can't identify. Whatever they're using, it's far more sophisticated than our intelligence suggested." Below them, Earth continued its rotation, but now Kethvar could see other glints of light, other devices that seemed to be turning toward Luna's surface. The humans weren't just aware of their presence. They were actively studying them. "All units, implement maximum concealment protocols," he ordered. "We may be under observation." But even as he spoke, he realized the futility of the command. If the humans could detect them well enough to point sophisticated instruments at their positions, concealment was already compromised. The mission was based on the assumption that they could operate undetected from Luna's surface, picking off targets with impunity while remaining beyond retaliation range. If that assumption was wrong, everything changed. On Earth, in a facility that existed only in the most classified military databases, General Hayes was watching live feeds from 12 different observatories, all focused on Luna's surface. The images showed clearly defined positions where something was disturbing the moon's natural electromagnetic profile. "How long before we have visual confirmation?" she asked. Dr. Michael Rodriguez, the facility's chief scientist, adjusted controls on a console that controlled the world's most advanced optical telescope. "The atmospheric distortion is significant, but we should have clear images within the hour. Whatever's up there, they chose positions that would be perfect for Earth observation." "Which means they're here for us," Hayes concluded. "Time to implementation on Overwatch protocol. All stations report ready, ma'am. We can have weapons systems online in under 3 minutes." Hayes nodded grimly. Overwatch protocol was humanity's most closely guarded secret, developed in response to the deep space contacts 18 months ago, when astronomers had detected the first signs of intelligent activity in the outer system. A small group of military leaders and scientists had begun preparing for exactly this scenario. The preparation had been expensive, requiring the redirection of vast resources and the development of technologies that pushed the boundaries of human engineering. But it had also been necessary because everyone involved understood a fundamental truth. Any species capable of traveling between stars would possess weapons that could eliminate Earth civilization from a safe distance. The only logical defense was to ensure that safe distance didn't exist. "Dr. Rodriguez," Hayes said, "initiate targeting sequence on Luna positions. I want firing solutions on all detected contacts." "Ma'am," Rodriguez replied, his fingers moving across the control interface. "All stations report positive locks. Estimated time to target elimination, 15 seconds per position." Above them, Kethvar was beginning to understand that something had gone terribly wrong with their mission planning. The humans weren't behaving like a primitive species caught off guard by superior technology. They were behaving like a military force that had been preparing for exactly this scenario. His communications system crackled to life with reports from other positions. Human observation devices were focusing on every single firing position around Luna's surface. Whatever detection method they were using, it was precise enough to locate individual marksmen within their concealed positions. "Phoenix Leader," Admiral Thickus's voice carried a note of urgency. "Our deep space sensors are detecting massive electromagnetic activity on Earth's surface. Multiple locations showing power signatures consistent with weapons charging sequences." Kethvar felt something he had never experienced in decades of military service. The knowledge that he was not the hunter, but the hunted. Somewhere below him, Humans were preparing to shoot back, and they had apparently been ready for this moment long before his ship had arrived in the system. Actual, he replied, his voice steady despite the growing dread. Recommend immediate extraction. Mission parameters have changed. Negative, Phoenix Leader. You are beyond the range of any human weapon system. Complete your mission. But, even as the Admiral spoke, new contacts were appearing on Kethvar's sensors. Objects were launching from Earth's surface, following trajectories that would bring them directly to Luna. The humans weren't just detecting the alien marksman, they were preparing to respond with force. For the first time in his career, Kethvar began to consider the possibility that the galaxy's most elite sharpshooters had seriously underestimated their prey. The humans had been ready for them, prepared for them, and now they were about to discover whether Earth's primitive chemical-powered weapons were truly as limited as their intelligence had suggested. The mission was about to become something no Zephyrian marksman had ever experienced, a fair fight. Colonel Marcus Thompson had spent 3 years preparing for this moment. Ever since the first deep space signals had been detected and analyzed by Earth's most advanced xenolinguistics programs. While the signals remained largely incomprehensible, certain patterns had emerged, patterns that suggested surveillance, assessment, and, eventually, action. Now, crouched behind the controls of humanity's most classified weapons system, he watched as 6 projectiles streaked through Earth's atmosphere toward Luna's surface. Each projectile was the culmination of technology that officially didn't exist, developed in secret facilities buried beneath the Nevada desert, and powered by miniaturized fusion reactors that pushed the boundaries of human engineering. "Tom, a target?" he asked his weapons officer. Lieutenant Sarah Kim consulted her displays, watching as the projectile's telemetry painted precise trajectories toward Luna. "First impact in 47 seconds, Colonel. All 6 targets have positive locks." Thompson nodded, his attention focused on the tactical display that showed Luna's surface in unprecedented detail. The alien positions were clearly visible now, marked by the distinctive electromagnetic signatures of advanced technology operating in vacuum. Intelligence had been right about one thing. The aliens had chosen perfect sniping positions. They had been wrong about everything else. "Sir," Kim continued, receiving telemetry from Luna Observatory. "The aliens are moving. Looks like they're trying to relocate to secondary positions." On Luna's surface, Kethvar was experiencing something no Zephyrian marksman had ever faced, incoming fire from a target that should have been defenseless. His rifle sensors were detecting 6 objects approaching from Earth at velocities that defied everything he understood about human technology. "Vex-Tar," he shouted, abandoning the quiet discipline that had characterized his entire career. "Calculate impact trajectories." His spotter's equipment was already working frantically, trying to plot the incoming objects' paths. "Sir, they're targeting our positions directly. Estimated impact in 37 seconds. Kethvar made a decision that would have been unthinkable an hour earlier. He abandoned his carefully prepared firing position and began running across Luna's surface in the awkward, bounding gait that the moon's low gravity required. Behind him, his equipment, worth more than most starships, lay scattered in the crater that had been his perfect hiding place. "All units, emergency relocation," he broadcast on all frequencies. "Incoming fire. Repeat, incoming fire." Around Luna's perimeter, the galaxy's most elite marksmen were doing something they had never done before, retreating under enemy fire. Their careful positions selected for optimal sightlines and maximum concealment were being targeted by weapons systems that shouldn't have existed. The first human projectile struck position Delta with the force of a small meteor. The kinetic energy alone was devastating, but the projectile's real purpose became clear in the seconds after impact. Instead of a simple crater, the impact site erupted in a precisely controlled explosion that sent superheated plasma racing across the lunar surface in all directions. Marksman Vel, then, who had been stationed at position Delta, ceased to exist in any meaningful sense. His quantum-stabilized rifle, designed to function flawlessly for centuries, became component atoms scattered across several square kilometers of lunar regolith. "Phoenix Leader," Admiral Thectoes's voice crackled across the communication link, filled with an urgency that Kethvar had never heard before. "Report status immediately." "Actual, We are under direct fire from Earth-based weapons systems. Kethvar replied while bounding across Luna's surface toward a secondary crater. Position Delta is eliminated. Vel then is gone. Human weapons capabilities far exceed intelligence estimates. Impossible. The Admiral's response came back. Human technology cannot reach Luna with any degree of accuracy. Even as he spoke, the second projectile struck position Beta. Marksman Kexvor had managed to move approximately 50 meters from his original position before the human weapon found him. The explosion turned his advanced camouflage system and state-of-the-art rifle into a brief, brilliant flare visible from Earth's surface. Thompson watched the impacts through his orbital telescopes, satisfied with the precision of humanity's response. Each projectile had found its target despite the aliens' attempts to relocate, guided by targeting systems that could track individual objects moving across Luna's surface. "Excellent work, Lieutenant," he told Kim. "Reload and prepare for secondary targets. I want those remaining positions eliminated before they can establish new firing points." "Sir," Kim replied, her fingers dancing across the weapon control interface. "Second salvo will be ready in 90 seconds. Should we target their escape vectors?" Thompson considered the tactical situation. The aliens were clearly attempting to withdraw to positions where they could regroup and potentially resume their mission. Letting them escape would mean facing this threat again, possibly with better intelligence about human capabilities. Negative, he decided. Let them run for now. I want to see where they go and what other assets they might have in system. On Luna's surface, Kethvar had reached a temporary shelter in a crater approximately 2 kilometers from his original position. His equipment was minimal, a sidearm and basic survival gear, but his communication system was still functional. Around him, the scattered remains of his unit were reporting in. "Phoenix 2, status report," he called. "Phoenix Leader, this is 2. Position Charlie eliminated. Heckmar is gone. Immobile, but have lost primary weapons. Requesting extraction. Phoenix 3, report. Phoenix Leader, 3 here. Avoided the first salvo, but Position Echo took a direct hit. Zelvok didn't make it out. Whatever these humans are using, it's tracking us after impact. I saw thermal trails following Zelvok's movement before the explosion." Kethvar felt ice forming in his chest. Weapons that could track moving targets across Luna's surface represented technology that was supposed to be centuries beyond human capabilities. Their intelligence had suggested a species still developing basic spaceflight, yet they were facing targeting systems that rivaled anything in the Galactic Council's arsenal. "All remaining units, converge on position Gamma," he ordered. "We need to consolidate and reassess." But even as he gave the order, he could see new contrails forming in Earth's atmosphere. The humans were preparing a second salvo, and this time they would be targeting the escape routes his marksmen were using. In the Colorado facility, General Hayes was receiving real-time updates from Colonel Thompson's team. The first engagement had exceeded all expectations, demonstrating that humanity's secret weapons program had successfully bridged the gap between Earth's surface and Luna's orbit. Colonel Thompson reports 4 confirmed eliminations, Dr. Rodriguez informed her. The remaining alien positions are attempting to consolidate, but we have clear tracking on all mobile units. Hayes nodded, studying the tactical display that showed Luna's surface covered with the signatures of scattered alien forces. "What's the status on their orbital assets?" "Still holding position at 400,000 kilometers. No change in power signatures or trajectory. Either they're confident their people can handle the situation, or they're preparing something we can't detect." The general considered the implications. If the aliens had deployed ground forces while keeping their main ships at a safe distance, it suggested they had expected some level of resistance. But their response to effective resistance seemed to involve panic and retreat rather than tactical adaptation. "Dr. Rodriguez," she said, "initiate Phase 2 of Overwatch Protocol. I want those ships to know that Luna isn't the only place we can reach." Meanwhile, aboard the Sovereign's Edge, Admiral Thectos was facing a crisis that challenged everything he understood about warfare in the galaxy. His elite marksmen, who had never failed a mission, were being systematically eliminated by a species that was supposed to be centuries away from developing effective space-based weapons. "Communications, give me the Galactic Council immediately," he ordered. "Priority Alpha encryption." "Sir," his communications officer replied, There's a 14-minute delay for secure transmission to Council space. Should I proceed? FECTOS paused, considering the implications of admitting failure to the Council. The Zephyrian Guild's reputation was built on absolute reliability. Every mission completed, every target eliminated, no exceptions in over 800 years of service. Hold that transmission, he decided. Tactical, what's our assessment of Earth's weapons capabilities based on current engagement? His tactical officer, a brilliant strategist who had planned successful operations across dozens of worlds, consulted his analysis screens with growing bewilderment. Sir, the humans appear to possess kinetic weapons with precision guidance systems capable of tracking individual targets across Luna's surface. Their projectile velocities suggest either advanced chemical propulsion or early-stage mass drivers. Most concerning is their targeting accuracy. They're hitting moving targets from a range of 400,000 kilometers. Recommendations? Sir, I would recommend immediate extraction of our ground teams and reassessment of the mission parameters. The humans have clearly been preparing for orbital assault, and their capabilities exceed our intelligence estimates by several orders of magnitude. FECTOS stared at the tactical display showing Earth's blue marble, now revealed to be armed with weapons that could reach across the void to touch his forces. Everything about this mission had been based on the assumption that humans lacked the technology to threaten forces positioned on Luna. That assumption was proving to be catastrophically wrong. Sir, his sensor operator called out urgently, detecting new energy signatures from Earth's surface. Multiple locations are powering up what appear to be significantly larger weapon systems. On the screen, red warnings began appearing across Earth continents as hidden facilities came online. The readings showed power consumption levels that suggested weapons capable of engaging targets far beyond Luna's orbit, weapons that could threaten ships positioned at what had been considered a safe distance. Admiral FECTOS realized that his perfect assassination mission had become something else entirely. First contact with a species that had been preparing for interstellar war while pretending to be primitive and defenseless. The humans hadn't been caught off guard by superior technology. They had been waiting for exactly this scenario, and now they were about to demonstrate that their reputation for being a young, naive species might be the greatest deception in galactic history. All ships, he ordered, prepare for emergency departure. We are leaving this system. But even as he spoke, he wondered if the humans would allow them to leave at all. Staff Sergeant Maria Santos had been waiting in her concealed position for 18 hours, watching Luna's surface through the scope of a rifle that officially didn't exist. The weapon in her hands represented 5 years of human engineering, combining electromagnetic acceleration with quantum targeting systems that had been reverse-engineered from wreckage found in the outer solar system 3 years ago. The wreckage that the public didn't know about. The wreckage that had convinced Earth's leaders that contact with alien civilizations was inevitable and that it would not be peaceful. Overwatch 6, this is Nest 7, she whispered into her communication system. I have multiple contacts moving across Luna's surface. Estimate 6 to 8 individuals heading toward the convergence point. In the Colorado Command Center, General Hayes smiled grimly. Phase 2 of Overwatch Protocol was proceeding exactly as planned. The alien snipers were doing precisely what human psychology predicted they would do when faced with superior firepower. They were clustering together for mutual protection. It was a fatal mistake when facing an enemy that had been studying their tactics for years. Nest 7, this is Overwatch 6, Hayes replied. You are authorized to engage. Show them what a real sniper can do. Maria Santos had been the U.S. Army's top marksman for 3 consecutive years before being recruited into the project that officially didn't exist. Her personal record was a confirmed kill at 3,847 meters using conventional chemical propulsion. The weapon she now carried could reach 10 times that distance with accuracy that made her previous achievements seem quaint. She had never imagined she would be using it to hunt aliens. Through her scope, she could see the alien marksman moving across Luna's surface in the distinctive bounding gait that low gravity required. Their equipment was clearly advanced, their movements precise and coordinated despite the chaos of their retreat. Under other circumstances, she might have admired their professionalism. These circumstances were not other. Wind speed, she asked her spotter, Corporal James Chun. No atmosphere to speak of, Chen replied, consulting instruments that monitored conditions between Earth and Luna. Solar wind, negligible, gravitational variables calculated and compensated. You have a clean shot. Maria adjusted her scope, tracking the lead alien figure as he bounded between craters. The range was beyond anything attempted in human military history, but the weapon's targeting computer was providing solutions that seemed almost supernatural in their precision. Range to target, 384,712 kilometers, Chen reported. Target is maintaining consistent movement pattern, speed approximately 12 meters per second across the surface. Maria's finger found the trigger of her impossible rifle. Somewhere in the weapon's quantum-entangled targeting system, calculations were being performed that involved the precise position of atoms across nearly 400,000 kilometers of space. The projectile, more energy than matter at this point, would take approximately 2.5 seconds to reach its target. Target acquired, she whispered and squeezed the trigger. On Luna's surface, Kethvar was discussing evacuation procedures with his surviving marksman when something struck him in the center of his chest with the force of a meteor impact. The shot had come from Earth's surface, across a distance that should have made accuracy impossible, and had found him despite his erratic movement pattern. As his life faded, his last thought was professional appreciation. It had been a perfect shot. Phoenix leader is down. Vextar screamed into his communication system. Sniper fire from Earth. They're shooting back at us. The remaining Zephyrian marksmen scattered, but Maria Santos was already tracking her second target. Through her scope, she could see them moving with the desperate urgency of beings who had suddenly realized they were no longer the apex predators in this engagement. Her second shot took down the alien she had identified as a spotter, eliminating him mid-bound as he tried to reach cover behind a crater rim. The third shot missed by less than a meter, leaving a glowing crater in the lunar surface that would be visible from Earth for the next several hours. Nest 7, excellent work. General Hayes' voice crackled through her headset. Continue engagement until all targets are eliminated or withdrawn. But Maria was already tracking her next target, her training taking over completely. Range, wind, target movement, weapon compensation. All the variables that had made her the best marksman in human military history were being calculated and applied to engagement across interplanetary distance. Her fourth shot eliminated another alien marksman. Her fifth missed when the target changed direction unpredictably. Her sixth found its mark with precision that would have been impossible using any conventional weapon. Aboard the Sovereign's Edge, Admiral Thectos was receiving reports that challenged his understanding of reality itself. His elite marksmen, trained from birth to eliminate targets across impossible distances, were being systematically hunted by what appeared to be individual human snipers shooting from Earth's surface. Confirm that last report, he ordered his communications officer. Sir, Phoenix unit reports they are under directed sniper fire from Earth's surface. Confirm kills on Phoenix leader, Phoenix 3, Phoenix 5, and Phoenix 7. Remaining units are requesting immediate extraction. Thectos stared at the tactical display, showing Earth position relative to Luna. You're telling me that humans are conducting precision sniper engagements across 400,000 kilometers of space. That appears to be accurate, sir. Our survivors report muzzle flash signatures from at least 12 different locations on Earth's surface. They're being engaged by multiple human snipers simultaneously. The Admiral felt something that no member of the Galactic Council's military had experienced in over 2 centuries. The knowledge that his forces were technologically outmatched. The humans weren't just defending themselves. They were demonstrating capabilities that exceeded anything in the Council's arsenal. Sir, his sensor operator called urgently, detecting massive energy buildups from Earth's surface. Multiple facilities are charging weapons that appear to be significantly more powerful than anything we've observed so far. On the main display, Earth's continents were lighting up with energy signatures that suggested weapons capable of engaging targets at interplanetary distances. Whatever the humans had been building in secret, it represented a quantum leap beyond anything the galaxy had seen from species so young. All ships, emergency departure, Thectos ordered. Set course for the outer system, maximum velocity. But even as he gave the order, new contacts appeared on his sensors. Objects were launching from Earth's surface, following trajectories that would intercept his fleet long before they could reach safe hyperspace distance. "Sir," his tactical officer reported with barely controlled panic, "the humans have launched what appear to be interplanetary missiles. Time to intercept: approximately 47 minutes. Thectos realized that his safe position 400,000 kilometers from Earth had been anything but safe. The humans had been allowing his fleet to remain in position, using them as a fixed target for weapons systems that had been designed specifically for this scenario. They had been caught in a trap that had been years in the making. "Evasive maneuvers," he ordered. "All ships scatter formation, random vectors. Do not allow them to target us as a concentrated fleet." His ships began accelerating away from Earth, but their top speed was limited by the need to maintain formation and protect the slower support vessels. The human missiles, unencumbered by such limitations, were gaining steadily. In her hidden position, Maria Santos continued her methodical elimination of the alien marksmen on Luna's surface. Her seventh shot missed when an alien used their advanced equipment to generate some form of localized concealment field. Her eighth shot penetrated the field as if it didn't exist, eliminating the target with clinical precision. "Overwatch 6, this is Nest 7, she reported. "Luna's surface is clear of hostile contacts. All identified targets eliminated or withdrawn. Acknowledged, Nest 7. Excellent work. Stand by for Phase 3 authorization." Maria began tracking the retreating alien spacecraft through her scope's extended range capability. The ships were accelerating away from Earth, but they were still within the theoretical range of her weapon system. She had never attempted a shot at a target moving at significant velocity across interplanetary space, but the targeting computer was providing firing solutions that suggested it might be possible. "Overwatch 6, she called, requesting permission to engage the retreating spacecraft. "I have firing solutions." There was a pause before General Hayes responded. "Negative, Nest 7. Let them run. We want them to report back to their superiors about what they found here." Maria lowered her rifle slightly, understanding the strategic implications. Eliminating the alien fleet would prevent them from reporting back, but it would also eliminate the psychological impact of their failure. Better to let them return home with stories of a species that had been ready for them, had outmatched their most elite units, and had demonstrated technological capabilities that exceeded all intelligence estimates. Let them go home and explain to their leaders that Earth was not the primitive, defenseless world they had expected to find. Aboard the Sovereign's Edge, Admiral Thectos was watching his escort ships fall behind as the human missiles continued their relentless pursuit. His fastest vessels might escape, but the support craft that carried his mission equipment and backup personnel were doomed. "Sir," his communications officer reported, receiving transmission from the human government. "They're broadcasting on standard diplomatic frequencies." "Put it through," Thectos ordered, curious to hear what the humans would say to the fleet that had come to eliminate their leadership. The voice that came through the speakers was calm, professional, and spoke in perfect galactic standard, a language that humans supposedly didn't know existed. "Alien fleet, this is General Patricia Hayes of the United Earth Defense Force. You came to our world intending to eliminate our leaders from a position of safety. You discovered that we have been preparing for your arrival for quite some time. Your marksmen have been eliminated or withdrawn. Your ships are currently being pursued by weapons that will overtake you in 31 minutes. You have one opportunity to avoid complete destruction. Surrender immediately and prepare to be boarded." Admiral Thectos stared at the communication console, his mind reeling from the implications of what he had heard. The humans knew galactic standard. They had been preparing for this specific type of attack. They had weapons that could engage his ships across interplanetary distances. Most importantly, they were offering him the opportunity to surrender rather than simply destroying his fleet. It was a gesture that suggested either confidence in their superior position or a desire to avoid unnecessary loss of life. Either way, it indicated a species far more sophisticated than any intelligence report had suggested. "Open a channel," he ordered his communications officer. For the first time in his military career, Admiral Thectos was about to surrender to a species the galaxy had dismissed as primitive and harmless. The humans had been waiting for them, ready for them, and had turned the hunters into the hunted with a precision that would have impressed even the Zephyrian Guild. Now it's time to find out what Earth intended to do with their captured alien invaders. 6 months after the failed assassination mission, Admiral Thectios sat in what humans called a conference room aboard the Earth Defense Force station that had been hastily constructed in Earth's orbit. The facility was a marvel of rapid engineering, combining human innovation with technology salvaged from his surrendered fleet. It served as both embassy and prison, depending on one's perspective. Today, it was hosting the most important diplomatic meeting in galactic history. Admiral, General Hayes said as she entered the room, flanked by advisors who represented Earth's United Military Command. I trust your accommodations continue to be acceptable. Thectios nodded carefully. His 6-month captivity had been unlike anything he had expected. Rather than torture or interrogation, the humans had provided comfortable quarters, excellent medical care for his wounded crew, and access to information that had revolutionized his understanding of Earth's true nature. They had also, quite systematically, demonstrated exactly how outmatched the Galactic Council's military forces would be in any extended conflict. General Hayes, he replied in the English he had been learning during his captivity. Your hospitality has been educational. The human smiled, and Thectios had learned to recognize the expression as genuine rather than threatening. Humans, he had discovered, were far more complex than Council intelligence had suggested. They could be simultaneously compassionate and ruthless, innovative and traditional, peaceful and devastatingly effective in warfare. I imagine it has been, Hayes agreed, taking her seat across from him. Today's meeting is to finalize our response to the Galactic Council's latest communication. I believe you've seen the message. Thectios had indeed seen the message, transmitted 3 days ago through quantum communication networks that the humans had somehow managed to decode and intercept. The Council was demanding the return of their missing fleet and threatening immediate military action if their demands were not met. The Council assumes you are holding us against our will, he said carefully. They do not understand the situation. And what is the situation, Admiral? Hayes asked. From your perspective? Thectios considered his words carefully. The past 6 months had shown him things that challenged everything he thought he knew about galactic civilization. Earth's technology, which Council intelligence had dismissed as primitive, included capabilities that surpassed anything in the Council's arsenal. Their social organization, supposedly chaotic and primitive, had produced unified resistance to alien invasion with an efficiency that impressed even veteran military strategists. Most importantly, their approach to captured enemies had been unlike anything in his experience. Rather than execution or imprisonment, the humans had offered education, collaboration, and the opportunity to understand their perspective on galactic politics. The situation, he said slowly, is that my people attempted to murder Earth's leadership based on incomplete intelligence and false assumptions. We failed because Earth has been preparing for alien contact for years, and our failure has revealed that the galaxy has seriously underestimated humanity's capabilities. Hayes nodded approvingly. And what do you recommend we do about the Council's threats? Thectios had been dreading this question for weeks. The humans had made it clear that they would not surrender their captives to face certain execution for the crime of failure. They had also made it clear that they considered the Council's assassination attempt an act of war that demanded response. General, he said, I recommend you demonstrate to the Council exactly what happened to our mission. Show them the capabilities that eliminated our marksmen. Show them the weapons that could have destroyed our fleet. Show them that Earth is not the defenseless target they believe it to be. And then, offer them the same choice you offered me, cooperation or consequences. Hayes smiled again, but this time Thectios recognized it as the expression humans wore when they were about to reveal something significant. Admiral, we've been in contact with the Council for several weeks now, through channels they don't know we've established. Thectios felt his breathing stop. If the humans had been communicating directly with the Council, it meant they had access to quantum communication technology that was supposed to be exclusive to the galaxy's most advanced civilizations. How? He managed to ask. The same way we knew you were coming, Hayes replied. We've been watching and listening to galactic communications for 3 years now, ever since we found the wreckage of a Council scout ship in our outer system. The Admiral's world shifted again. The humans hadn't just been preparing for alien contact. They had been studying alien technology, reverse engineering it, and using it to monitor galactic civilization without anyone realizing it. "The wreckage you found," he said. "What happened to the crew?" "They died in the crash," Hayes replied solemnly. "But their sacrifice wasn't meaningless. We learned enough from their ship to understand that we were being watched, assessed, and eventually we would be contacted. We used that knowledge to prepare." Dr. Rodriguez, who had been silent throughout the exchange, leaned forward with a tablet displaying technical schematics. "Admiral, you've seen our weapons demonstrations. What you haven't seen is the full scope of our preparations. Would you like to know what we've actually built while the Council thought we were primitive and defenseless?" Fectios nodded, though he suspected the answer would be disturbing. Rodriguez activated his tablet, and holographic displays filled the room with images of Earth's hidden infrastructure. Orbital defense platforms that could engage targets at interstellar distances. Underground facilities that housed weapons capable of sterilizing entire star systems. Manufacturing complexes that could produce fleets of spacecraft using technologies reverse-engineered from alien sources. "We spent 3 years building this," Rodriguez explained. "Every major nation contributed resources, technology, and personnel. We unified Earth's military forces under a single command structure. We developed weapons that could fight a defensive war against any likely alien invasion force. Most importantly," Hayes added, "we prepared to make any invasion of Earth so costly that no rational civilization would attempt it. The Council wants our resources, but they want them intact. What we've built ensures that any attack on Earth would leave them with nothing but irradiated rubble." Fectios studied the holographic displays, his military mind automatically analyzing the defensive systems that Earth had constructed. They were impressive, but more than that, they were designed with a clear understanding of galactic military doctrine and technology. "You built this entire defensive network based on one crashed ship?" he asked. "That, and 3 years of intercepting Council communications," Hayes replied. "We know about their expansion policies. We know about their guided integration programs. We know how they've brought dozens of worlds into their sphere of influence through a combination of economic pressure, political manipulation, and selective elimination of resistance leaders." She paused, letting that sink in. "We also know that it doesn't have to continue." "What do you mean?" Hayes activated another display, this one showing star charts that mapped Council expansion over the past century. The Council's power is based on technological superiority and the assumption that younger civilizations can't match their capabilities. But what happens when a younger civilization not only matches those capabilities, but exceeds them in key areas? Fectios began to understand the full scope of what the humans were proposing. "You want to challenge the Council's hegemony. We want to offer an alternative," Hayes corrected. "Earth is prepared to serve as a rallying point for civilizations that want to maintain their independence. We can provide technology, military support, and proof that the Council's expansion can be resisted." The Admiral considered the implications. If Earth could successfully resist Council integration, it would inspire other worlds to do the same. If Earth could share advanced defensive technology with other independent civilizations, it would fundamentally alter the balance of power in the galaxy. "The Council will not accept this," he warned. "They will come in force." "We're counting on it," Hayes replied. "We want them to commit to a full invasion of Earth. We want them to bring everything they have, because when they do, the entire galaxy will see what happens to them." Rodriguez activated a final display, showing Earth's orbital space filled with defensive installations that had been concealed from casual observation. "Admiral, Earth's defensive fleet is already larger than most Council member worlds. Our weapons technology is more advanced than anything in the Council's arsenal. Our manufacturing capacity can produce ships faster than they can be destroyed. Most importantly," Hayes added, "we've been in contact with 16 other independent worlds that are tired of Council pressure. When the invasion comes, Earth won't be fighting alone." Fectios realized that his failed mission had accomplished something entirely different from its intended purpose. Instead of eliminating Earth's leadership, it had revealed Earth's true capabilities to their intended victims. Instead of leaving Earth defenseless, it had triggered the formation of the first effective resistance movement the Council had faced in centuries. "The Council communication demanding our return," he said slowly. "What will you tell them?" Hayes smiled the dangerous smile again. "We're going to send them a complete record of your mission. Video of our marksmen eliminating your sharpshooters from Earth's surface. Telemetry data from our interplanetary missiles pursuing your fleet. Technical specifications for some of our less sensitive weapon systems. And then we're going to invite them to try again. With everything they have. The Admiral understood now why his captivity had been so comfortable, why the humans had been so eager to educate him about their capabilities. They wanted him to return to the Council with first-hand knowledge of what Earth could do. They wanted him to serve as their messenger. General, he said, when the Council receives that information, they will mobilize the largest invasion fleet in galactic history. They will come to Earth with enough firepower to sterilize your world from a safe distance. And when they do, Hayes replied, they'll discover that Earth has been preparing for exactly that scenario. They'll discover that safe distance doesn't exist anymore. They'll discover that the species they thought was primitive and defenseless has spent 3 years building weapons that can reach across interstellar space to touch anyone, anywhere. She leaned forward, her expression serious. Admiral, your people came here to kill our leaders from the safety of our moon. Our response was to demonstrate that we could kill your people from the surface of our planet. What do you think our response will be when they come here with planet-killing weapons? HFY realized that the humans weren't just preparing to defend Earth. They were preparing to take the war to the Council's home systems, to demonstrate that Earth's independence was not just a defensive position, but an offensive capability that could threaten any world that chose aggression. The failed assassination mission had not just revealed Earth's preparedness. It had triggered the beginning of the first galactic war in over 3 centuries. And, based on everything he had learned during his captivity, HFY was beginning to suspect that the Council had no idea what they were about to face. General Hayes, he said formally, I request permission to return to Council space as your ambassador. Granted, she replied. But, Admiral, when you deliver our message to the Council, make sure they understand something very important. What is that? Earth's sharpshooters are just getting started. As HFY prepared for his return journey, he reflected on the irony of his situation. He had come to Earth as part of an elite unit of alien marksmen, confident in their superiority and certain of their success. He was leaving as the herald of a war that would reshape galactic civilization, carrying the message that humanity's sniper nest was not just a defensive position. It was a declaration that the age of Council dominance was over. The galaxy's deadliest marksmen had encountered humanity's riflemen, and discovered that Earth had been preparing for this meeting for far longer than anyone had imagined. Now it was time for the rest of the galaxy to learn what the Zephyrian Guild had discovered too late. When it comes to long-range precision shooting, humans don't just practice for accuracy. They practice for war.